Okay, everybody, how are you? This is Dan Cerrucci. We're live. This is one of our live video chats. And tonight I'm talking with, well, I think his story is very exciting and inspiring. A young man who has just become, and that was at the beginning of this new year, the executive director of the New Jersey Republican Party, the New Jersey State Republican Committee. Kennith Gonzalez. Ken, how are you?
I am doing great, Dan. Thanks so much for having me on tonight.
I've been wanting to chat with you for a while. We've known one another for several years. And I have to tell everybody from the first moment I met Kenny, um, I just got this vibe from him of a very mild mannered, agreeable, sensible young person. I'm going to ask him a little bit about that. But before we get into the body of the interview, Kenny, I just want to make sure that we are on Facebook Live and that we're on Facebook Live and we're on um, LinkedIn Live, and I'm just checking now to make sure that we're on there. And indeed we are. And I'm going to set my Facebook Live to public view so that anybody can see it. And then you can easily share it, Kenny. And let me just check and make sure we're on LinkedIn as well. And by the way, we're also on my YouTube channel, which if you go to YouTube and just put in there Dan Cerrucci, you will see that, and you will see that we are on there as well. And this broadcast will also be on my website at dancerrucci.com. Okay. So yes, we're all set up, Kenny, and we're live. So
Dan, I've been doing a lot more of these interviews and stuff lately, just based on all the things that are going on in New Jersey. I was on Fox a couple of weeks ago, but you just rattled off a lot of platforms we're on. So you're making me a little more nervous than I was when I was on Fox a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, for God's sake. No. I saw one of the interviews that you were on Fox, and you did it with what we call aplomb, Kenny, which means you were fantastic. I taught public relations, and I've been in public relations all my life. And we always teach, and I've done media training, of course, and we always teach, Kenny, that television is a cool medium. So when you're on television, you have to be, in order to come across as authentic and likable, you have to be sort of cool, and you have to have the kind of demeanor that Kenny has when I say this. Okay. And also he happens, of course, to be good looking as well. So this comes across. Now radio, by contrast, and this is why conservative talk radio is so successful, Kenny, is that radio, by contrast, is a very hot medium. And so radio lends itself to argumentation, to arguments, to the shout shows, to confrontation. All right. Television, not as much. So I'm sure you're able to adapt to the difference, though, Kenny, you do not seem to be a very argumentative person. So where did this pleasant demeanor come from, Kenny?
I don't know. I like to think that I come from a great family. I got a great education. I was very lucky to get a great education from pre-K all the way to when I graduated college. And after graduation, I've had the privilege of working with, I think, many great people, calm people, and very intelligent people. Like right now, our NJGOP chairman, Bob Hugan, a very professional guy, a very serious person with a great heart and great emotions and a great demeanor. So maybe I just get it from a combination of family, friends, and other people I work with. I'm not sure, but I appreciate the compliment. Maybe I get it from yourself, from the few times a year we see each other. Maybe I get it from you, Dan. I'm not sure.
No, you don't get it from me. I may come across this way, in these sessions, but I can be quite a passionate and determined and hot-headed Italian. So anyway, Kenny, you're a native of New Jersey. You've lived in New Jersey all your life. This is a fascinating story. Your parents emigrated here from Cuba. Um, when did they come, and why the hell did they come to New Jersey? Didn't anybody tell them that this is a very unaffordable state, one of the most expensive high tax states in the union?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think, and you should talk to my parents. My mom came here in 1993. Her uncle was a political prisoner. He was imprisoned by the Castro regime. He was believed to be working with the previous administration in Cuba. So he spent 5 years of his life in jail, and he was released. And he and his family were able to come here to the United States, and very lucky to do so, for not only for a better life, but for freedom of speech and all the other freedoms and privileges that this country grants us. And my father came in 1994. My father came here on a raft with just a few of his friends. It was a raft that they built with their own hands.
Oh my God.
Yeah, my father tried to escape Cuba twice before, and he was caught by the Cuban government. And they said, if we catch you one more time, we're going to put you in jail for however many years. And not even a couple of days passed, and he was already trying to figure out his next move on how to get out of there. So he risked his life only so that his only son that he would have a few years later can have, like I said, not only a better life, but all the freedoms and privileges that this country has to offer. And they both ended up in Union City, New Jersey. Back then, Union City had plenty of Cubans, Miami as well. And when a Cuban came to the U.S., there were two places to choose from. It was either Miami, Florida, or Union City, New Jersey. And I think I was very lucky to end up here in New Jersey. My family made the right choice. And I'm lucky now to be working in politics here in Jersey and just part of the movement to flip the state. So I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky. But my parents have lived in Union City ever since. I was born and raised in Union City, grew up in Union City. I went to Catholic school, but it was right just a block away from my parents' house in Union City, right on 16th Street. And great community, great town, lots of political history in Union City. And capital of the world, like we were talking about earlier. The sign is still up, and it's a great place.
This is a remarkable story. And your parents came here when?
My mother came in 93, my father in 94.
And you were born?
I was born in 2000. And when I was born, my parents didn't speak much English. So they taught me Spanish, and I went to pre-K not knowing how to speak English. And by the time I was in kindergarten, I knew how to speak English. So bilingual, thanks to my family.
And so oh my goodness, this is an incredible story. And you learned how to speak English just by picking it up as a very, very young person then.
Yeah. Just a year in pre-K. I was lucky. My teacher actually spoke Spanish also. She was Cuban as well. So she communicated with me, helping me, teaching me some things. And by the time I was done with pre-K, I was all good to go. Crazy how young kids, I guess, just pick up the languages really quickly. So it's cool. I actually started taking French when I was in the 5th grade, and I took that up until I was a sophomore in high school. So I like the languages. It's a cool thing.
This is an incredible, folks, I think you will agree, this is an incredibly inspiring, wonderful American story. Union City is, of course, in Union County, New Jersey. It's
Hudson County, actually.
Oh, Hudson County. Oh, now that gets,
happens.
Oh, I'm going to get, you see, my friend Jack Chittarelli is going to get on me now for messing up the counties, because, I have to make an admission here, folks. I spoke in, it was somewhere in Ocean County, but I can't remember. I can't even remember the name of the town now. It was on the border between Ocean County and Monmouth County, and it was one of the short towns. It'll come to me. And I said I was in Monmouth County, And Jack, our mutual friend Jack Chittarelli, who we certainly hope is going to be next governor of New Jersey, has been on me every time he sees me. Now he says, "Dan, what county are we in?" Okay? So now I got Union City. I thought was in Union County, which is an easy enough mistake to make.
Right. That's right.
You know, in Pennsylvania, Chester is not in Chester County; it's in Delaware County. And this is crazy. But Union City is actually, that's right, in Hudson County, which is directly across from New York.
Yeah.
In fact, you know, you can pretty much see the New York skyline from there, Kenny.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And many of you who have gone through the Lincoln Tunnel to go into Midtown Manhattan, you see the sign, Union City, New Jersey, the
embroidery capital of the world.
The world, right. Now, it no longer really is the embroidery capital of the world.
No, not so much.
But the sign is still there.
Still there. The old sign, too. They haven't replaced it. It's nice and vintage.
And was the embroidery largely done by, was it done by Slavic people, Hispanic people, or don't you know?
I think it was, I think it was probably a lot of Germans and other European immigrants. It was, the embroidery took place, I believe it was well before the Hispanics started coming into Union City. So the Cubans were the first Hispanics to come into Union City.
Okay.
And now it's a town that is still around 85% Hispanic, but it's not so much Cuban anymore. It's a mix of so many different nationalities. We have a lot of Dominicans, a lot of Colombians, Mexicans, Peruvians, Venezuelans. It's really a big cultural town with restaurants and everything on Bergen Line Avenue representing so many different cultures. So it's very interesting. But I think the embroidery was done before the Hispanic community arrived. I know that the Cubans started coming around the 80s and sort of built up Bergen Line Avenue, which is, I believe, the longest business corridor in the entire state of New Jersey. It spans a couple of different towns. And Cubans, when they got here, opened up lots of restaurants. Jewelry stores were very big, and other businesses. And I believe that now many of our Cuban friends find themselves in a much warmer and more Republican Miami. I don't blame them for doing so, but they definitely built up Union City, and it's the great town that it is today.
And you went to college in New Jersey. You went to school nearby in Seton Hall.
I sure did, yeah. I did my high school years at St. Peter's Prep in downtown Jersey City, and I went to Seton Hall University for college. And I got my bachelor's in political science. It was a great time.
Were you active in sports, Kenny?
I played basketball in middle school, freshman year of high school. I threw shot put and javelin one year in high school. I was on the bowling team freshman year of high school. Great times. And that's all. I still play basketball and try to work out now, stay healthy as much as I can, though.
Right. Would you say you're by nature a competitive person?
Yeah, I'd say so. I like the teamwork aspect of it too. I like the competition. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you see, folks, the way he says, I say, are you competitive? And he says, yeah, I think so. Very laid back sort of guy. He may actually be very competitive, but he's not necessarily going to let on, okay, right away. This is part of the Kenneth Gonzalez mystique. So, Kenny, why and how did you get involved in politics?
So when I was in high school when the 2016 presidential election was kind of starting up, when a couple of the candidates like Senator Marco Rubio at the time decided to run, and he inspired me a great deal. You know, Cuban American, very young guy running for office. So I liked a lot of the things that he was saying. And then I just, amid following all of that and reading more into it and learning more about the policies and the candidates, I decided to get involved in my local Republican Party. And I remember talking to a couple friends that from other states that were telling me you should join your local county committee and try to go to the meetings. And I said, look, I'm in Hudson County. It's one of the bluest counties in the entire country.
Absolutely.
I don't think we have a county Republican Party. And I did some research, and I I found our Hudson County Republican Party chairman on social media and reached out to him. I said, hey, I'm a high school kid. I'm a student here at Prep, and I noticed that you work here in Jersey City. I was wondering if we could get together and I could help out the Republican Party in Hudson County. And that chairman, who is Jose Arango, who I'm sure you know, who to this day remains, one of my closest mentors in politics, my political godfather, some would say. I met him the following day, and we sat in his office, and we must have talked for 3 hours. He was just so interested that there was a young guy, also a Cuban guy like himself, that wanted to get involved. So he gave me all the historical rundown of how he got started in politics in the 80s and being in the assembly and so on and so forth. And he kind of just took me under his wing and introduced me to a lot of people in Bergen County, Passaic County, Essex County, all over the place. And I started volunteering on different campaigns. I started a teenage Republicans group in my high school. So we got guys from really all over North Jersey, guys that went to Prep to start a Republican club. So campaigns loved it because they got volunteers from all over the place, young guys with a lot of energy. And in 2018, we had Bob Hugan, who ran for U.S. Senate against Senator Menendez, and I was very involved in that race on the volunteer level. And obviously, Bob, Chairman Hugan's a guy who's also from Union City, so he spent a lot of time by us and spent a lot of time with my own family, and we became very close. And just volunteering on different campaigns and getting to know different people and joining the Young Republicans and so on and so forth. And then I graduated college, and Bob Hugan became the chair of the NJGOP. So he asked me if I wanted to get involved, if I was looking for work, and I started helping him with some of the party stuff, getting involved in the NJGOP, some of the stuff on his business front. He's got 2 great restaurants in Jersey City, by the way. Everybody should try them out. And here we are today.
Amazing story. But Kenny, what made you decide to get involved in the Republican Party as a minority? I mean, what the hell? What was in your mind? Or was this the influence of your family or what?
No. So my family's been pretty apolitical. Politics was never really discussed except for kind of Cuban politics and communism and things like that. But from a very early age, that's the values that my parents instilled in me was freedom and liberty are the best things you can ever have. And we're in this country because we get to say what we want. We get to believe what we want, follow whatever religion we want, so on and so forth. And the leadership in Cuba doesn't allow any of that to happen. I recognize that my father risked his life to come here. And I just found into studying some of the Republican policies during that 2016 election and listening to some of the ideas that Senator Rubio was talking about. I realized that the Republican Party is the party of the values that I was taught to believe in and that I believed in from an early age, which is really faith, family, freedom, opportunity. And I enjoyed the dialogue during that presidential race. And when President Trump jumped in, he was a very exciting guy that attracted a lot of young people like me, Hispanics and non-Hispanics alike. And like I said, when I got involved in my local Republican Party, the Republicans, I came to know the Hudson County Republican Party was Hispanic people from Union City, North Bergen, West New York, Jersey City. It was young guys. It was older guys. It was African Americans. It was Indians. It was very diverse. And the Republican Party opened up, and I started meeting so many people and building so many great relationships. And it was just the party that I was most attracted to.
So, I mean, as a minority, this is important for people to hear, folks. It's very important because the big media and the media would have you believe otherwise. And Kenny is not the first, nor will he be the last minority person or young person who is Republican that I have interviewed or will interview. So what you're saying is that as a young person and as a minority group member, you found the Republican Party, number one, to be very welcoming, and number two, to share your values.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that the Democrat Party, not only in Hudson County, where certain Democrat Party bosses have controlled their constituents for decades, right? Right. But even on a national level, I think the Democrat Party reminds me too much of what my parents escaped from. So the Republican Party was the complete opposite.
It's a wonderful thing to hear, and I happen to know so many minority group members and young people, male and female, that are even before the trend that we see with President Trump, and particularly in the last presidential election, but even before that, I was able to see this as I went to Republican events, and I saw more and more minority people, and I saw more and more young people, and I started interviewing a lot of them, and it became apparent to me that something significant was happening. However, New Jersey is a tough state for Republicans to crack, Kenny. Now, I did an article on my blog. It was a very long study. The reason why it was long, folks, is because I decided to go back as long as I've been around, and I've been in New Jersey all my life, like Kenny. I was born and raised here. But I decided to go back through my whole lifetime of the history of the political races in this state. Now, Republicans have had more success with the governor's office, claiming the governor's office, than the senatorial races. I'm talking now, Kenny, about statewide races, okay? In my lifetime, we've had 4 Republican governors. I hope I'm not missing anybody. Cahill, Kane, Whitman, and Christie. They presided for a total of 28 years. When you add up all the years that they were in office, the only one not to serve for 2 terms was Cahill, who was defeated when he went in his own party's primary. He was defeated for re-election in his own party's primary. He never got to the general election because Republicans, as we know they are prone to do, were fighting that year between moderate and conservative. Now, in that same period of time that I've been around, we had 6 Democrat governors. Now, among these, I'm not counting unelected. That is people who served to full unexpired terms. Okay, I'm only counting elected. We had Minor, Hughes, Byrne, Florio, McGreevey, and Corzine served for a total of 36 years. So we have 28 years versus 36 years. At least the Republicans have been reasonably competitive. And Corzine, I didn't count Murphy. Isn't it funny the way I left him out?
Don't worry about
it. Murphy has already served 4 years. So that's Murphy. And that's 7 Republicans for a total of 40 years.
Yeah.
And we're not counting the present term. So that's 40 years versus 28. Murphy was the first Democrat since Byrne to be reelected. So he was the first Democrat in several decades to be reelected. The Democrat governors have not had a good record when it comes to reelection in New Jersey. That's how we got the 4 Republican governors that we did. Now, we know that Murphy squeaked by the last time. All right. But it's not, still, it's been mostly Democrat. Now, for the U.S. Senate, the last time, by my calculations, that we had an elected Republican U.S. Senator was Clifford Case, and that was 1979. He went out of office in 1979.
Yep.
By my calculations, that was 46 years ago. That's a dreadful record. Oh, my God. And then we went and elected Andy Kim. What a nightmare.
That's right.
We have Booker and Andy Kim. A couple of, I call them, I don't want to say what I call them. All right. Let's put it this way. They're heavy into drama. They're heavy into drama, but they don't do anything. There,
Yeah.
and people seem to love it. So look, Kenny, what I'm trying to say, this is a steep road that we have ahead of us, and you're the executive director of the state Republican Party. So, what do we do about this? How do we get from here to there?
Yeah, well, I think first off, you take one election at a time. We all know how well things have been going over the last few years in terms of the progress of the Republican Party here in New Jersey. And this year, we have a gubernatorial race, which, Dan, according to your numbers, Republicans do pretty well in governor's races here in New Jersey. So we hope to not repeat the same outcome that occurred in 2021. And we're very determined, and we believe very strongly, I believe very strongly, that New Jersey is going to flip red this November. And it's not only because of the shifting national environment and President Trump's popularity, but also because of independent and even Democrat voters in this state that have had enough of at least Phil Murphy, enough of that. And also it's a testament to the hard work that the Republican Party has done in the span of New Jersey's 21 counties at not only registering new voters, which we've been outpacing Democrats for 52 months straight now. And in a few days, I hope to come back and be able to say 52 months straight of outpacing Democrats in voter registration, as well as building meaningful relationships with minority communities that traditionally vote Democrat, and especially the Hispanic community, which is one of the fastest growing communities here in New Jersey that is gravitating more and more towards the Republican Party each and every day for a variety of reasons, for so many reasons. But President Trump did very well here in New Jersey, and a lot of that was because of his historic performance among the Hispanic community, getting 40% of the vote, which led to him flipping Democrat strongholds such as Passaic County, who we haven't seen go red in quite a while. So I think you take every election as it comes, and for 2025, we're looking great. After one win, you build that momentum, and in 2026, I think if President Trump remains the popular, effective leader that he's been so far in this second term, I think Cory Booker is not a safe bet. And I think once there's a strong candidate that steps up to run in a midterm year, which on paper, like you said, Dan, should be very tough for New Jersey Republicans, I think that with a Republican governor in office and with the voters in New Jersey seeing what Republican leadership can do, combined with a strong national approval of President Trump and all of his policies, we can take back that seat. And I guess time will only tell, but all we can do right now is continue building the Republican Party, continue going to all 21 counties in New Jersey and doing different things with different people, right? It's about voter registration. It's about building relationships with minority communities. It's about going to the voters where they are. And I think that over the last few years, the progress that the Republican Party has made here in New Jersey, from years like 2017 and 2018 that were not so great for our party, to years like 2021 and 2024 where we almost had it, I think voters are going to say enough is enough this year, and they're going to vote Republican. I really do think so.
You posted these numbers on May the 1st. Voter registration shift since the 2021 election. Republicans plus 113,457. Democrats minus 127,620.
Yeah, that's it's absolutely crazy. Since the 2020 election, when President Biden won New Jersey by almost 20 points, Republicans have Republicans have cut that voter registration deficit from what it was, which was once over 1 million, 1.1 million.
Oh my goodness.
Today, 825,000, and we'll see how low that number gets on June 1st when we get more numbers. But it's been a historic shift in the amount of voters that either new voters that are deciding to join the Republican Party because they agree with what the Republican Party has been doing nationally and here in New Jersey, or they like our candidates, or a combination of so many different things. Or also we've had plenty of Democrat and independent voters that see what's going on in the country, they see what's going on in the state, and they decide enough is enough. And they either reach out to us or do it themselves, switch their party affiliation to Republican to join the Republican Party. And that's a great sign, Dan, because nobody likes to be on the losing side. So anybody that takes a proactive step to switch their party from Democrat to Republican really means that they're invested in New Jersey and that they believe the Republican Party is going to win. So I hope to have we've had plenty of new volunteers, plenty of new supporters, donors, so on and so forth, that are new Republicans that we've welcomed just recently, that they're all in and they want to do whatever it takes to flip New Jersey. Last year, you saw that President Trump almost did it, but President Trump had 7 or 8 swing states that he needed to worry about that would determine the outcome of the election. So he spent some time in New Jersey. The party did lots of great things for him here in New Jersey. I mean, we had 3 regional Trump for President headquarters that the NJGOP opened and funded here in New Jersey, one in North Jersey, one in Central Jersey, one in South Jersey, where we welcomed hundreds of volunteers to come and pick up Trump signs, come and make phone calls for President Trump and for Curtis and for all of our candidates. Just a place for Republicans to come and meet like-minded individuals that maybe they hadn't met before. So we took great advantage of the fact that the presidential election brings out a lot of volunteers and others that maybe don't like to come out in more boring off-year elections. So we did a great job for President Trump. President Trump did a great job by coming here to New Jersey and giving us something to work with. And 6 points of flipping the state. So he didn't spend, all the resources in the world here in Jersey, and he made the right move. He won Arizona, he won Nevada, he won Pennsylvania, all of these states. And I think now in 2025, where the only 2 states that have statewide elections this year are New Jersey and Virginia, and Pennsylvania's got some Supreme Court stuff going on. I hope, and I know that President Trump and his team are going to be paying very close attention to New Jersey, in giving us a lot of help and a lot of encouragement. And we just can't wait. We just can't wait for the primary to play out, for everybody to come together, and so that we can enact our plan to flip New Jersey red. And I cannot wait to stand with you and with everybody watching here in November and celebrate finally a red New Jersey. It's been a long time coming, and in November we'll be there.
Kenny, one of the things that discourages me is Republicans in New Jersey fighting one another. Okay. And I've seen a lot of it. And I try to tell them, when Republicans fight in New Jersey and the battles seem to be fierce and unfortunately increasingly personal and sometimes vindictive, I tell them, when Republicans fight in New Jersey, all too often you wind up fighting over who gets the right to lose.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is a pretty damn dumb horse's ass thing to fight over. All right.
Yeah.
Now, we have a gubernatorial primary, where we have, 4 candidates, 4 principal candidates, maybe 3 that are really contenders, fighting for the Republican nomination. And I will say, and I want to ask you, will you say this as well, Kenny, that no matter who wins, I will support the Republican nominee for governor of New Jersey that is chosen by the people in the primary a week from Tuesday, June 10th, 2 weeks from today.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the mentality that every single Republican here in New Jersey should share, because, all those numbers that we went through and everything, all of that stuff means absolutely nothing if our own voters decide to either stay home in November, or even worse, vote against us and vote for a radical progressive Democrat like Mikey Sherrill or Ras Baraka or Steve Fulop. That just hurts the cause. And not even only Republicans, but any independent, pro-freedom, pro New Jersey first person should have the same mentality. I mean, the Republican Party, it's not the candidates are there, but the Republican Party stands for lower taxes, a more affordable New Jersey, making our community safer, fixing the school funding formula, fixing whatever the hell is going on with the affordable housing mandates, so on and so forth. So the Republican Party just stands for so many ideals and policies that would make New Jersey such a better place to live, frankly, that would save the state of New Jersey. And every single one of those 6 Democrat candidates is committed to making New Jersey more expensive, less safe, making it all about going against Trump, and enacting just liberal policies and following orders of the Trenton Democrat establishment. And it's about time that Republicans come together and unite. And I really do believe that Republicans are very smart people. Talking about ourselves, we're very intelligent people, very hardworking people. We know what's going on. So I really do believe that after this June 10th primary, our party will come together and unite. I know that I'll be doing whatever I can do to make sure that that happens. And I look forward to working for and with whoever our Republican candidate is, because really, I do believe that out of the 4 or 5 Republican candidates that we have running, every single one of them would be better than Ras Baraka. Every single one of them would be better than Mikey Sherrill. And it's time to save our state. If the numbers indicate that we can make it happen, if President Trump thinks that we can make it happen, which it seems he does because he weighed in on the race already,
right,
then I believe that we can make it happen too. And every single one of the millions of registered Republicans here in New Jersey should do the same thing. Unite.
And I hope, and by the way, and I would add to the Republican agenda that the Republican candidates and the Republican Party of New Jersey are also for parental rights and parental control of the schools, so that you know what your child is being taught in schools. You are informed, you are aware of the curriculum, okay? And if there's critical race theory or propaganda or sexually inappropriate materials being distributed in the schools, you as a parent have a right to know about it and to weigh in on it and to opt your child out of it in the public schools. Right?
Yeah, and that's a Republican Party stance, and that's something that all of our candidates would say that they agree with you, and all of the Democrat candidates would say that they disagree with you.
Right.
So if you're somebody that cares about parental rights, whether one candidate is better on the issue than the other or stronger on the issue than the others, it is what it is. All of our candidates are on the same page. Our party should be united, and we should be working for whoever that nominee is to win in November, because it can happen.
And biological men, young men, should not be competing against women in women's sports in the state of New Jersey. And I hope that the New Jersey State Interscholastic Athletic Association gets that message. I'm not sure it's really been conveyed to them, but that's another radical approach of the Murphy administration, which has been probably the most radically leftist administration in New Jersey in my lifetime. And that's another thing that has to end.
Yeah, I completely agree. And Phil Murphy's wanted to fight the president on every single executive order, on everything. Our attorney general is suing the. And I know that regardless of who our Republican candidate here is for governor, each and every one of them are going to work with the president, not going to interfere with ICE and federal agents when they come in here to deport criminal illegal aliens. And I think that when it comes to executive orders like the no men in women's sports, I don't think any Republican's going to fight that. I think we're going to stand united, and we're going to stand with the president. We're going to allow the president to carry out his agenda. And we're just here to make sure that, people know how they can get involved and that they can help the party in one way or two ways or however many ways they want to. And we're ready to take all the help we could get and take the fight to November, because we believe that we can win the state of New Jersey. We know that we can. The numbers indicate we can. President Trump thinks we can. So it's up to us to make it happen. But if there's no unity, it's never going to happen. The Democrats do a great job at unifying.
Oh, they do.
They do an amazing job.
Oh, they do.
The AOC wing with the Chuck Schumer wing or whatever, they do a great job at just putting everything behind them, whether it's real or not, right? But at least they showcase that they are united, and they get out those votes, Dan. And Republicans,
I think the Republican, the winner of the June 10th Republican gubernatorial primary, ought to have a breakfast the next morning or lunch the next afternoon, the day after, to which all the Republican gubernatorial candidates are invited, a unity breakfast or luncheon where they come together and they unite the party. And whether that's a breakfast or lunch, or whether it happens the next day or 2 days later or 3 days later, I hope the Republican State Committee of New Jersey would assist in facilitating that, Kenny.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we are in the process of working on setting up some unity events right after the primary. Hopefully one in the northern part of the state, central Jersey, and in the south. I know that in Sussex County, they're planning their annual spring golf outing at Crystal Springs Resort on June 19th. And they want to invite the gubernatorial nominee, and I believe any of the other candidates that don't emerge victorious on June 10th, to come and support. And we want to get every Republican from North Jersey there as a sign of unity, to make sure that everybody knows that the Republican Party's together and determined to win in November. And what a better way to do that than a round of golf. And in Central Jersey, we're working with Chairwoman Tracy DeFrancesco in Somerset County on putting together an event, which will hopefully come out soon, but we're still working on it, to support the ticket running down in Somerset County, which, by the way, Somerset County Commissioner candidate Nick Cuso came within just a couple thousand votes of winning that election last year for county commissioner. Super underdog battle. Nobody saw it coming. And I saw Nick on election day right before the polls closed, and I told him, you're going to win. And vote by mail came in, and things happened. But he was almost there. So we hope to plan a rally and fundraiser for Nick, and invite our gubernatorial nominee as well, and any of the other candidates to be present there to support a great candidate, a great county organization, and show our unity for November. So we're working on a whole bunch of things, Dan, and we appreciate any suggestions and any ideas that we could do. But we do want to make sure that everybody understands that the party is here for unity, and we do hope that happens. And like I said, I'm not too worried. I believe in our candidates. I think we have a great field of candidates running in the Republican primary. And I do hope that after the primary, everybody comes together and we can get to work to win in November, because it's not going to be easy, but we could do it.
Now, Kenny, we're coming to a conclusion of our little chat here. This has been a very, very exciting time for you. I know you've been in meetings with the Republican National Committee. Have you met the president yet?
Not yet. No. Seen him from a distance, but haven't spoken to him.
You have been down to Florida, to the Trump National golf course down there near Palm Beach.
Trump Doral, actually. The
Trump Doral, right.
RNC's spring training was just a couple of weeks ago, and I was down there with our Republican National Committeeman, Bill Palatucci, and National Committee woman, Janice Fields. And we attended a whole bunch of training sessions, Dan. The RNC's digital team, their political team, their comms team, so on and so forth, just educating not only New Jersey, but all states on how to prepare their state parties for 2025 elections and 2026 midterms. And I could tell you the message from down in Miami at that time was everybody's got eyes on New Jersey. All eyes are on New Jersey. Everybody's asking how we're doing. Everybody's asking how they can help. So we look forward to
about it.
Yeah, so much national help coming in. So many other northeastern states, that want to come to New Jersey as the election gets closer to help us on the ground. I've never seen anything like it before. I've only been involved just, a matter of a few years, but It's definitely encouraging, Dan. So I think it's going to happen.
And I know Marco Rubio is one of your idols. Have you gotten to meet him along the way?
I did. I met him at the presidential inauguration, at the Starlight inaugural ball. He was there, and I got the chance to talk to him for a little bit and let him know how important he was to me getting involved in politics. And little did I know that, looking back now, that he was going to be doing such a great job as our Secretary of State. I think everybody agrees that he's not only Secretary of State, but he's got 4 or 5 other titles in that Trump administration that they've given him. And he's been juggling a lot of things, but he's making everybody proud. Nice to see a Cuban American from Miami making everybody proud.
Again, another very incredible, inspiring story. And I think he has a very bright future. President Trump has mentioned him as a possible successor. Okay. Along with our wonderful Vice President Vance. And what a bright future, okay, looking at young people like Kenny and like J.D. Vance, for example, and Marco, who is really not that old, and so many young up-and-coming leaders of the Republican Party. What a bright future. Oh, Kenny, why did your mother choose to spell your name Kennith instead of ETH? What was that all about, Kenny?
It's a great question. I don't know. I'll put you guys in touch, but I know she wanted to be different. She wanted to be different, so she chose the I. But I've become really good at spelling it out, on the phone with whatever Kenneth, Kennith, and I do a good job at remembering. But yeah, interesting stuff. So I go by Kenny.
I always spell it correctly,
That's
by
right.
the way. I'm very aware of it. And I think it's something distinctive that sets Kenny apart. Okay. And he certainly is set apart because he has had amazing success at such a relatively young age and has shown remarkable maturity and common sense for someone his age. I don't get to talk to a lot of young people. I have to tell you, unfortunately, a lot of young people today, maybe it's because they've been on devices and all so much, are socially inept. They're not able to converse. They don't seem to have a good command of the language. They don't appear to be culturally literate. Were you involved in public speaking in junior high and high school?
I took a class in college. I took a public speaking class in college.
Yeah, but I guess he just has a natural ability and affinity.
I appreciate it. I don't know. And one thing I will say is we got to be a little easy on the new generation, because the numbers show that nationally and here in New Jersey, millennials tend to skew more liberal and Gen Z skews very conservative. And they were an integral part of President Trump's performance, not only here in New Jersey, but his victory nationwide. So they got to read up on the books and spend a little bit less time on their iPhones. But we got to keep on welcoming them into the party. And it shows that our generations now have that common sense. And I think it's just, Dan, I think it's never really been cool to be a Republican. Now it's cool to be a Republican. So I think people are understanding that a little more and more. And for any young guys, young girls here watching, it's cool to be a New Jersey Republican. So join us. NJGOP.
There's the message from New Jersey State Republican Executive Director Kennith Gonzalez. It's cool to be a Republican, and it's cool to be a New Jersey Republican. And so, Kenny, it'll
be even cooler after we win the governor's race, but it's pretty cool now.
I like his confidence. Kenny, where should people, what should people do, particularly, especially young people, but anybody that wants to get involved in the Republican Party in New Jersey, what should they do?
Well, I think you could start by going to njgop.org and signing up to volunteer your time or contribute your money, whatever it is that you're able to do. Elections are getting more expensive each and every year, especially this year. It's an off year. So getting out that vote and getting those, low frequency voters to come out and vote is going to be much more expensive than maybe it was last year and it is in previous years. And don't even get me started on the New Jersey and the Philadelphia media markets being the most expensive. But we at the NJGOP, we're putting together what is going to be the strongest get out the vote operation in the last, I don't know how many years, but we've got great stuff going on in terms of the data, the plans that we have, the digital aspect of it, the on the ground aspect of it. We've already gotten started. It's going to be very expensive. It's not going to be easy, but it's not easy to win. So we're doing everything that we can. Read up on who the candidates are. I would say make sure that you're involved. It's very easy, especially here in New Jersey, to tune out of elections because we're a blue state and Democrats win most of the time. So it's very easy as a Republican or Republican leaning person to just stay out of the process and not get involved. And that's part of the reason we've been losing for so long. So if you're somebody that wants to get involved right now, stay involved, sign up to volunteer, join your local county committee, your local Republican organization. We will welcome you. There's no reason why somebody should be here in New Jersey, leaning Republican, believing in our values, and not being able to get involved. We welcome everybody, and it's going to take a lot of hands on the ground to win this November, and we plan to make it happen. So
And make sure if you're a Republican that you vote in the Republican primary between now and June 10th. You can, I think you can, I think you can still vote by mail. You can mail in your ballot. I don't know whether in-person voting has started yet, but it will start relatively soon, right? In-person voting.
Yeah. So if you received your mail-in ballot, please fill it out. No matter who you vote for, vote Republican and get that ballot in. The last day to request a mail-in ballot is June 3rd. Early in-person voting begins on June 3rd and goes until June 8th. You can vote in person. And if you remember last year for President Trump here in New Jersey, we had 9 days of early voting. And that vote ended up being a statistical tie between Kamala Harris and Trump. And that's part of the reason we were able to do so well. We're still trying to pick up our performance on the vote by mail, but the early in person was very popular last year, and it gave a lot of Republicans a chance to just go out and get it over with. And things happen on Election Day, Dan. We've been saying this for so many years, but it's never been more important. Things happen on Election Day, whether it's bad weather, whether it's a event in the family emergency, a work emergency, you can't make it out to vote. So if you're somebody that loves the Republican Party, that loves the state of New Jersey and wants to see a Republican governor elected, take advantage of vote by mail or take advantage of early voting and take the day off on Election Day and do whatever you have to do and watch Republicans win this November. It's going to happen.
Okay, there's everything you need to know, folks, from Kenneth Gonzalez, or Kenneth Gonzalez, the executive director of the New Jersey State Republican Party, Republican Committee. And on that, I think we can end this chat, Kenny, unless there's something else you want to weigh in on.
No, I think we're all good. We're all working very hard to produce a win this November, and we pray for unity and we pray for wisdom that the Republican candidate hits the right issues, hits the right voters, and takes that victory in November. We're here to make it happen. Anything I could do, you could always reach out to me. I'll even give my email address is Kennith, that's spelled Kennith @njgop.org. Feel free to reach out anytime. We'll get you involved. Any questions, any doubts, any critiques. Awesome. Nice to know I'm doing the wrong thing sometimes. And hope to hear from everybody very soon.
There you are. And we've been live on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on my YouTube channel. And as soon as this is over, it will be permanently on LinkedIn and Facebook and in YouTube, and then it'll be permanently at dancerucci.com when you'll be able to watch it almost any time. So hopefully we'll pick up a lot more viewers then too. Kenny, thank you so much for being with us tonight. This was great fun, and I hope that we'll actually be together in person soon, maybe perhaps even on election night, June 10th, at the winner's victory celebration of the Republican nominee for governor of New Jersey.
I will see you there, Dan. Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Okay, thanks, Kenny.
Talk to you soon.
Good night.
Good night.